you have to really know how to manage expectations, how to laugh at yourself, laugh at situations, because nothing is ever perfect. Nothing. And if you have children or you have situations around you in charge of young people, whatever, you know nothing's going to run smoothly, and roll with the punches. Roll with the punches, people. Welcome, welcome again to another episode here of Rosie Talks Life. Again, big thank you to all of you out there who have been following along and encouraging me and enjoying the shows too. And my guests, they have all been very awesome. And I am just so excited to continue to bring you people who are interesting and who, some people are like pretty big stars or icons in their own right, but I kind of want to get to know them. So that is my angle. We never know how we're inspired. So I like to talk a little story or maybe a little inspiration, but I want to talk about laughing at yourself and not taking yourself too seriously. So travel with me one moment. So one day I'm on the train going to work. I had just done my hair. I normally put in braids. Everything is wonderful. I'm good. We're good. I stand up because my stop is coming and I'm on the railroad, not even the subway yet, but on the railroad. And a woman says to me, "Honey, your hair's falling out." And I look to her and I'm like, "What?" She goes, "Yeah, your hair's on the floor." I looked down, I looked at her, I wanted to die. Like, there was like 7 or 8 braids on the seat, and then it kept falling, and then another lady next to me was picking them up and giving them to me, and I was like, ugh. And I looked at her, and I go, "Ain't it great how things happen on a Monday?" I said, "Thank you." She goes, "Honey, we have to stick together as women." I swear to you, as she's talking, more hair is falling out. And I'm like, "Oh, Jesus." It was the last stop. So now people seeing me grabbing the hair, looking around. I was like, good Lord, what is going on? Another time, I was on the subway, and I'm standing over the lady, and I'm holding on. And, we West Indians, I love us. One woman said, "Hey, miss, your shirt inside out." And I'm like, "What you say? It's inside out?" I said, "Imagine, that man kissed me today and tell me, 'Have a good day,' and let me out on the street looking like this?" I said, "God bless you, miss. God bless you." And we laughed. Okay. So yes, those are embarrassing moments. I have others, but those are embarrassing moments. But it's how you handle things that are thrown at you, right? Because you could stand and go, "Oh, Jesus, I just want to die." Of course, I was a little embarrassed. Of course. But because I shifted my mindset to go, everybody joined in, and the focus and the energy dissipated, and it was leveled. Yes, so my hair fell out. Yes, my husband let me go out with my shirt inside out. But, it's one of those things that you just enjoy it. When I say enjoy it, no, you just go with the flow. We take life entirely too seriously. We do. And in doing so, we then get caught up in what people think and how they see us, I'll give you another quick story. My son, I've mentioned him before, quite high functioning, and he has a smart mouth, okay? And he could embarrass you. We're in the airport, and I saw him pacing because he was ready to board, but there was a delay. So I went up to him just to stroke him, because he's tall. He's like 6'3", and, I'm hitting him. And I said, "It's okay. It's okay." So I'm stroking his stomach. And then he stopped and looked down at my hand, and immediately I knew I was in trouble. And he goes, "Would you stop?" And he said it so loud in the terminal. "Would you stop rubbing my belly? You know I'm not pregnant." And I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I walked away. And I'm like, this little boy, I'm only trying to be his friend. And so when you have situations like that, you have to really know how to manage expectations, how to laugh at yourself, laugh at situations, because nothing is ever perfect. Nothing. And if you have children or you have situations around you in charge with young people, whatever, you know nothing is going to run smoothly, and roll with the punches. Roll with the punches, people. Roll with the punches. It makes life so much easier. We'll be right back.
It's a quick story time. I remember when I was a little kid and I used to visit my aunt's house, and she had a lily pond in front of her house. And in this lily pond were lily pads, little lily flowers, and tadpoles, and I'm sure growing frogs. Okay. And I remember when they would say, Roseanne, do not walk around the edge of that pond, you will fall in. I remember when I wouldn't listen as a child. And you know that old time saying, who don't hear will what? Swim. So I one day was hee hee ha ha playing with a couple other kids in the neighborhood, and I was walking around and bloop, next minute I'm under murky water with tadpoles all up. And all I remember, and I heard them scream, didn't we tell you? And they had to snatch me out like a wet dog, all while telling me why I'm so stubborn. Yeah, I remember when little kids won't listen, and it has to do with who don't hear will, in my case, swim, feel. Yeah, I remember when.
Where's the pepper sauce? Thank you. Yeah, man. All's pepper sauce. No other heat will do.
Hall's pepper sauce can be purchased at Sam's Caribbean Marketplace, located at 225 Hempstead Turnpike in West Hempstead, or purchased online at sams247.com.
And welcome again to another episode here of Rosie Talks Life. This particular guest is kind of near and dear to me because I've been following him. This next gentleman, I've been a great fan of his work. Paul Cyrus hails from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and he's passionate. He's a passionate explorer, environmentalist. I would say an educator. Paul is an engineer turned explorer, and most recently, back in April of 2021, Paul became sort of our eyes as we witnessed the devastation of the eruption of the La Soufrière volcano. As Paul describes his adventures as paradise in motion. Welcome to Rosie Talks Life, Paul. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Rosie. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. So, you and I have been speaking just a couple of times, and I don't think you may realize to what scope you're touching people, and people are like amazed at your work. Let me just really give you a lot of credit for what you've been doing.
Well, thanks for that. I'm glad to hear it's reaching people, because that's the intention, is to show, well, not only Vincentians, but the entire world what we have here.
Absolutely. Because you and I said, yes, sorry, go ahead.
Most people don't seem to realize that we have so much here. Some people don't seem to want to believe that this is St. Vincent, but it is.
Yes, and I think we want to emphasize this is St. Vincent. So let's just go back a little bit. Tell me about your first experience and taste of hiking up La Soufrière as a teenager.
Well, if I went there since I was 7 years old, and I went many other times with different groups of people in those days.
Okay.
I first went on my own when I was 18.
Wow.
I always wanted to walk around the top of it, so I went up and walked around the entire top of the crater.
You walked around the rim?
Yeah, right around the rim and back down. It took me 8 hours to do it.
Wow.
I can't remember what year it was, 86 or 85, somewhere there.
Wow. So that means you walked from the windward side or wherever you went up. Did you go up on the windward side of the island?
Windward side, yeah. I usually mostly go up from the windward side. I've been from the leeward side several times, but usually from the windward.
I actually experienced both, so I really admire you. And for people who don't know and who are listening, our volcano spans both sides of the island, but it's very difficult for a novice, I'm going to use the word novice, to climb the leeward side because it's so steep, correct?
Well, not really, but where you park the car on the windward side to start, the trailhead is at 1,200 feet above sea level.
Okay.
So you walk 1,200 feet above sea level to 3,196 feet.
Oh.
You only actually climb about 1,900 feet. On the leeward trail, you literally start at sea level.
Yes.
And you walk to the 3,100 feet to the top. So it's it's not as steep, but it's a longer hike, and it's less breezy. So it can get quite hot later on in the day. After 8 o'clock, it usually get very hot and humid.
So unless the terrain has changed, we took a boat down to Richmond back in 86, and to me it felt vertical. I remember a guy pulling me up the hill, like literally. I exerted more energy. That's the best way of putting it. So would you say you became hooked when going by yourself, or how was that experience?
I don't know. It wasn't necessarily the volcano itself. I always wanted to see the entire island. That was my aim since my teens. I started doing it when I used to come home on holidays from England. When I was in school in England, so I used to come back on holidays in the summer, and I used to just go. I couldn't find anyone to go with me, so I used to go on my own.
Wow.
My idea was to walk all the rivers from the sea right up to their source to see what I could find in terms of waterfalls and everything. And I started doing it on a few of them.
Right.
And then when I moved back in '92, I started trying to do the whole island. And then things changed. I got a job, and I had to work 6 days a week, so I didn't have as much time only on Sundays when I was exhausted from working. So every now and again, I used to go, and I never really stopped. I kept going and going and going and going, and seeing more and more of the island. And then I got a few people interested in doing various trips with me. So I did 1 or 2 trips. I walked across the island to the first mountains, not via Soufrière. In 2002, the first time I got anybody to actually go with me, because I had the idea since I was climbing Soufrière back in the 80s.
Right.
The possibility to walk through the mountains from one side to the next. I did that for the first time in 2002. And then again in 2006, and then again in 2021 twice.
Wow.
2020 twice.
Oh, okay.
No,
okay.
21. Before the eruption in 21, we did it twice.
Okay, before the change. Okay, so let me ask you something. Why, I think other people may want to know, did you risk your safety during the eruption to do these explorations? I'm being polite, but it was dangerous.
I prefer not to answer that, actually.
You prefer not to answer. Okay, fine. So then I think you're a little bit of an adrenaline junkie. I hate to say, because
not really. No, my thing is not adrenaline. It's not about showing off. It's about seeing.
Not at all. But I think you are a natural explorer. Okay.
I'm a very curious person. I like to see. Okay. I was actually alive. I was alive for the '79 eruption. I was 11 in '79.
Yes. So was I. Yeah.
Erupted. So being a child, I wasn't able to go and see much. So this time around, I wanted to see as much as I could see. So I went to see. That was my motivation, more so than having a thrill. It was just to basically, I guess, to document.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I remember in '79, just piggybacking off of you, the second eruption. My father taking me out to Rabica to the dry river, and us seeing the, I want to say maybe it's the second eruption that happened, and the small pebbles that were falling.
Yeah.
And that one seemed a lot more vertical with the lightning. I was 9, and it stood in my mind. And my daddy then took us to the Leeward to see the other eruption on the Saturday. And he was like so fascinated. And then one day he was reading about it, and he said to my wife, you know, I didn't realize I was putting myself and the child in danger. No, he didn't realize. But
Yeah.
so I'm not, by no means am I calling you like someone reckless or anything like that. I was just curious why. So how has the landscape changed since the eruption?
I have to answer that in several ways, because if you knew it before,
Right.
it looks dramatically different. But it only looks dramatically different now, 2.5 years later, as the last 600 feet at the top of the volcano
Right.
is the only area that looks like there was an eruption, and obviously down in the crater. But everything else has returned to normal dramatically. Everything from basically the time you entered Georgetown after the gas station, everything in that area was just great. There was 3 feet of ash on the roads.
Yes.
Gutters were all everything looked like the apocalypse, and now everything looks normal. Everything it's amazing how fast the plant life has come back. All the trees are green again.
And green, yes.
The trees that were dead are still growing. I mean, they've lost a lot of their branches in a similar way that trees lose their branches with snow. The weight of the ash on the branches
Right.
broke a lot of the branches of the trees. But they're still growing, they're still alive. There is evidence there when you drive through the Orange Hill section going towards where you park at the trailhead. But the only evidence is at the top of the volcano itself.
Through
The ashes are great.
through your documentation, you used the word apocalypse. It looked like a bomb was dropped. It was just devastating. It was great. It was no life. And then one day I saw you say something like, life is returning. It was a post that you had where the greenery was coming back, and I was shocked because I couldn't believe it came back that quickly and so abundantly. So thanks to your documenting, I want to...
When we first went up, we discussed how long we thought it would take, and my estimate was probably like 5 to 10 years before it looked like everything was normal.
Wow.
It took nowhere near. It was 2 years. I would say in a year and a half. Well, last year, October, a year ago, things started looking normal again up there in terms of the greenery.
Do you think it has to do with the fertility of the rains, the ash, the minerals, that sort of, what do you think?
Yeah, for sure, definitely. The minerals in the ash. Interesting minerals in the ash. Because we had gone up the what we call it, everybody calls it the wrong name, but it's the Trinity Falls River's correct name is Waliboo River.
Waliboo, okay.
Waliboo is in near Barley. Waliboo is the Richmond River that everybody mistakenly calls Richmond River. That's the Trinity. Yeah, we went up there several times, and we'd park the car and we'd walk up the river because we access via the normal pathway higher up in the mountains was obliterated by the eruption. So we parked the car and start walking from the sea going up the river valley. And every time we got there, we would see all these people fishing by the river mouth.
Wow.
In kayaks, in small boats, fishing rods, everybody. We're talking like 20, 30 people on shore.
Wow.
Fishing. And we couldn't understand what was going on. So like after a year of parking and just going up the river, we decided to go down and ask the people, why are they all there? And they said basically what it is the fish were coming to get the minerals out of the water that was coming down.
Really?
Yeah, so the Waliboo River was bringing on all the ash with it and all the minerals, and the fish were just coming to eat the minerals, basically. And they were catching, the guy told me they were catching like 4 and 5 foot long barracuda, kingfish, everything right there, right at the river's mouth, which is astonishing. The minerals aren't only good for plants, the animals are coming for it as well.
But you see how nature knows how to take care of itself? I mean, that's incredible to me. That's incredible. So quickly, I'm changing gears briefly. So I grew up thinking there were only maybe 2 or 3 waterfalls. And you're the man who keeps discovering. I was like, where is he producing these falls from? And I think you've discovered up to maybe about 150 more.
Well, I said we found over 300. Some of them, as
Oh my
one of my friends said to me, how do we define a waterfall? What's the definition of a waterfall? After finding so many, and what one of them said to us is that if it's worth bringing someone to see it, in other words, if it's enough to carry someone that distance to see it, then that's the definition of a waterfall. We found over 300 waterfalls, but I guess probably maybe 150 that are worth developing for people to go and see. There are about 50 different sites that they could develop immediately now for tourists to go and visit. They're just
that blows my mind, because and then my husband and I were talking, because we went, and you could correct me, please. I thought I went to the Falls of Belen. I had gone to the Falls of Belen as a child, but I guess it's the Dark View Falls that has the bamboo bridge. Is that the one? Is that
yes?
Okay,
Dark View has the bamboo bridge, right? And two waterfalls, the other.
Right, and then that is about, maybe, I'm trying to remember, how high is that one?
It has two. So the top one, number
true.
2, is about just under 100 feet tall, and the low one probably 75 feet.
Wow. But then,
but
since then, you have this one called Grandam, or what? How do you pronounce it?
There's Grand Bonham Waterfalls.
Right. Yeah. That's even taller.
A dwarf. It was those Dark Views. Some of them, many waterfalls. Even in Dark View, unbelievably, there's a Dark View 3. There's a third one above the second one, which is taller than the 2 below. It's probably that one above is probably 120 feet. And to the side of the 3 of those waterfalls, which are on the same river, there's another river right next to it. The one is probably about 100 to 200 feet tall, right there next to that view.
I climbed up.
In Grand Bonham, there is a really tall one. It's so tall we can't even. We hiked up below it, alongside it, and above it, and then flew a drone back to look at it. And the estimate we have on it is probably 700 feet. That's the tallest we've identified. But it has several drops to it. It drops probably about, I don't know, maybe 4 different times, 4 drops. It's impossible to see it in one because it's shrouded in the trees. So even with a drone, we couldn't see the entire.
It was difficult to see the entirety.
Yeah. The tallest single drop waterfall in St. Vincent that we have seen is at about 3,000 feet in altitude.
What?
And it's about 400 feet in height. It's on Richmond Peak. Richmond Peak is 3,553 feet. So about around 3,000 foot level is where the waterfall begins and falls from there. It's spectacular.
Paul, so would you say it's safe? Would you say it's safe to say that the locals always knew about these falls, but like the people, you don't think so? Wow.
No, a lot of people claim to have been to a lot of them, but some of them are very, again, I don't want to make it sound crazy, but some of them are just very, very difficult to get to, extreme heights, and extremely dangerous now, as they're in their raw state to get to them. But they can all be developed. Everybody always asks me if it's possible to put trails to these waterfalls. And I tell them, yes, if we can put a trail to the highest point in St. Vincent, which is the volcano, we can put a trail
anywhere.
Yes, they're dangerous to get to at this time, but if we develop trails, then we put in proper steps and stuff, it'll be easy to get.
You know, we could go on and on, but I would hope that I can revisit you again. Tell the public, how can they get onto you? Because I know that you call it Paradise in Motion, but I don't think people understand the raw beauty, untouched beauty of St. Vincent and the Grenadines that puts many other places to shame, and we're living there and we don't even know it, much less to those of us who live abroad. You come and you maybe go to the Grenadines or whatever, but there's places that we could trek and see and learn. So if you can maybe just share how someone could reach out to you.
Yeah, you can contact me via Facebook or Instagram, or directly using my name, Paul Cyrus, or on WhatsApp on my number, which is 784-495-965. Call me and book a trip to any part of the island you wish to see. And you can choose where you see by going on my Facebook post and looking at all the lovely waterfalls in St. Vincent.
And I think you would also maybe speak to them in terms of their fitness level or what they can do, so it's not a mismatch of an exploration that they can't manage.
No, but that's the thing. That's why I go, because I aid them along, and I'm always very realistic. I tell people as we're doing the hike what to expect, so there's no surprises. And also, it's my experience that everyone, including myself, overestimates their fitness level. So you have to have the time as well. I'm always conscious of the time in case someone is quite unfit, that you do have enough time to make it back. So you don't want to be starting a hike after 12 o'clock. That makes no sense. Number one, it's very good. Okay. So I like to start the hikes in the morning. It's cool and everybody can handle the temperature. And if something does go wrong, which is unlikely if you just take your time and be very sensible about it, so you can get back before darkness.
Okay. So again, I want to thank you so very much, and for your patience, because we had a couple little glitches, but thank you for joining me at Rosie Talks Live. Hopefully we can reconvene again, because there are other parts that I would love for us to share, and we are sharing some of your beautiful shots.
I'd like to speak about the development of the sites.
Yes,
next time.
I would like to do that as well. So I'm going to hold you to that. So again, thank you again, Paul. And thank you, everyone, for joining me here at Rosie Talks Live. I'll see you soon.